NC State is getting its Final Four rematch with Purdue this coming Thursday on Thanksgiving at 3 o'clock p.m. The two are going to be matching up in San Diego, and today we're going to take a look at how this matchup breaks down and talk about Purdue holistically. How's their season gone so far? What's the scouting report on them? So stay tuned, find out more. We're going to talk about this matchup and talk about Purdue. So let's kick this whole thing off by talking a little bit about Purdue and what they've done so far this year. So their personnel has changed. No more Zach Edey, a couple other new faces, but the story largely remains the same. They're super efficient offensively, as demonstrated by their offensive rating compared to their pace. They shoot the ball at a high clip. Defensively, they're stout. They play a really solid man defense. They rebound the ball really well on both sides of the ball. So that's definitely something for State to watch out for. Purdue at this point is 5-1 on the season and has played a decently tough schedule. And there's two games really of note that'll give you some insight into their abilities. First, they beat then number one Alabama by a score of 87-78 and looked really good doing so. But they've also lost to another top 20 team in Marquette, and they lost to them 58-76. So mixed bag as far as playing the top teams, but they definitely show their potential. Now let's break down some of the key personnel that Purdue brings to the table for this game. I want to start off by talking about Trey Kaufman-Renn. He's a forward, a junior, has really upped his game this year. He's actually their leading scorer at 17.5 points a game, but he does so much for them. So what I want to focus on as we go into the film is watching him as a post player and the type of effect that has on the offense. Kaufman-Renn is really an old school player when it comes to post play. So he is, physical. He's going to back guys down. He's going to get to his spot. He does a ton of work before he even gets the ball. So that's all, super impressive things and stuff that I love about his game. What I will say is that he's a bit limited in the direction that he's going. So every highlight or clip I've seen of him scoring from the post, he's going to his right side. Even when he spins back left, he's going up with his right hand. So if I'm State, if I'm another big guarding him, I'm going to force him back to the left side, really try to make him do something there. I'm not going to fall for any fake going to the left side because I don't think he's going to actually go that way. But overall, he's a tough dude who's going to fight for position and is going to finish when he gets the chance. Now, next, I want to talk about Fletcher Loyer, and he is really a knockdown shooter, a threat from anywhere beyond the arc. Plays a lot, about 30 minutes a game, really is shooting the ball effectively, 61% from three this year. Can pass the ball as like a one-more type passer, will turn it over, but you have to close out on him for sure. Now, Loyer is a guy who is going to move without the basketball really effectively. He's going to flow from the corner to the opposite corner. On a drive, he is going to fill into the correct spot and read the ball handler. And it really stresses the defense, and particularly the guy who's manned up on him, because he's slippery in that way. So you cannot lose track of him. That's going to be the biggest imperative. I'm not sure who State will start out on him to begin with, but I think he's someone who could give State trouble with how aggressively they play passing lanes. For instance, if he's, you're helping off of him on a drive and you're trying to shoot that gap, if you gamble too much or are a little too late, he's definitely someone who can make you pay and has to be a big focus for NC State off the ball. To me, Braden Smith is the heart and soul of this offense. So he is somebody who controls the ball primarily for what they do. So off ball screens, it's him. He is not a great shooter, is a capable shooter, but he distributes the ball very, very well. And it's somebody that NC State's going to have to turn into a scorer and playmaker. When you watch Braden Smith play, there's really nothing that wows you about his game. But at the end of the day, you look at his stat line, you're like, man, what a productive performance. He's somebody who just distributes the ball really well. So in these clips, you're seeing a lot of his assists from the past few games for Purdue. He's going to find the open man. If you leave somebody open, I can assure you that Braden Smith is going to find them and put them in a position to make a shot. He's not someone who is hunting his own shot all that much. And this year, when he's done so, he's been largely inefficient doing it. So I think that's kind of the key for NC State and other people that play Purdue is you got to make Braden Smith into a guy that beats you and isn't a guy who lets other people beat you. But, he's heads-up dribbler on the fast break. He's going to push the ball, then try to find somebody. He controls the tempo and flow of the game very well. They're going to run him off of a lot of on-ball screens and just try to get paint touches and find other people to score. But at the end of the day, he's the one you want to beat you. Next, I wanted to talk about Camden Heide, who actually started the year coming off the bench, but recently he's been moved into the starting lineup. He's a 6'7" forward who can really shoot the lights out, shooting over 60% from three on, a modest amount of attempts per game, but still pretty good volume. He's someone that State has to watch out and has to account for. Cam is important for what Purdue does because he just provides more floor spacing for their big to work down low and for their other guards to have gaps to drive through. He's someone that a lot of times is going to be matched up against the opposing team's power forward or big guard or whomever that may be and really stretch them to the three-point line. He's not going to allow his defender to help out too much into the paint or into the passing lanes just because you have to stay connected. He's that high level of a shooter. I think, he's going to have more volume as the year goes along. But you see in a lot of these clips when he's matched up against a bigger opponent, like that shifts the needle towards Purdue because it's making them work that much harder. So definitely a big-time threat. State has to know where he's at. The last player I want to focus on is someone who might come off the bench, might start, and that's Myles Colvin. He's another guard, a little bit bigger of a guard this time, that acts as another floor spacer, can contribute on the boards, and does a lot of things well. But what he primarily does for this offense is just provide yet another spacing threat. So Colvin's not quite the shooting threat that some of these other guys are, but he is still someone that you have to respect from the perimeter. He's going to knock down shots if he's left wide open, and if lightly contested, the odds are he's still going to knock it down. I think he's a little more dynamic, so you're going to see him mostly shooting in these clips, but he can cut, he can attack the rim a little bit more, he has some size, and he can get out in transition. But I think, as part of a five-man lineup, these five guys that I've covered really represent Purdue's best offensive and defensive lineup. So that's what you got to watch out for. Let's wrap this up by talking about what are the keys to the game for NC State to come out with a win. For me, this game is going to boil down to just a few simple things for NC State. First, can they make players beat you individually? And by that I mean don't allow guys to just drive and kick to an open shooter. You have to make guys step up and make plays and be playmakers on the ball. That's not Purdue's strength. I don't think that's something well equipped for them. The second key for me is that you have to be extremely competitive on the boards. So on both ends of the court, you're going to have to try and get some good second chance points, while also you have to eliminate second chance points for Purdue. You have to keep them off the boards. They're going to crash, and they're really good at it. And lastly, they just have to be super aggressive on-ball defense. So I think this team can be prone to turnovers. I think Purdue will turn it over when given the opportunity. So State's on-ball pressure has to be big. They have to play ball screens well, and they have to be aggressive yet disciplined in the passing lanes. If they can do all three of those things, then I think they're going to come out on top. I think they'll be in a really good position to win.